This call is being recorded.
Hello?
Thank you for your patience.
It sounds a little staticky.
Oh, word? Does it still sound staticky a little bit? How about now?
Still a little staticky.
Interesting. Let me see. Let's do this.
Still having a hard time. Hold on.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna call back in. I'll be right back.
Okay, well,
I know, that's what I was trying. Because you might have to.
Camera.
try saying something really quick.
All right. How about now?
Sweet, we're good now.
Okay. Oh, wow. Wait. So I can't hear you now though because of my speakers. That's weird. Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, sweet.
So I sound much better.
Yeah, perfect. For some reason, I had to mute mine and let you talk, and then unmute it, and then I can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of what happened here. So, all right, awesome, nice. So let's definitely get into your natal chart. This is definitely exciting.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, definitely, especially seeing you have a very, very controversial natal chart. A lot of what I like to look at when I look at charts are the outer planets: Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, Saturn, and I reference, of course, this alien chart. I don't know if you saw the article from what I sent yesterday, but basically it's an alien construct chart article that goes into what it means to have like Neptune and Uranus contacts. And so to see that you have it in Aquarius, being born 2000, is like an advent of the future. It's very symbolic because it's the epitome of the alien constructs as far as at its most advanced level. And Uranus actually rules Aquarius. So it's actually very fascinating. This is where I mentioned yesterday, like, according to science, you don't exist. Like, you only exist in like science fiction and fantasy, but you actually represent. And the reason why I take this serious is, out of all the archetypes we have here, the representation we have of your chart specifically is of some of the highest supernatural, unconventional energy. So the reason why I have to say it like that is a major feature of your life is going to be moving forward consciousness. It's kind of operating outside the norm of what's normal or kind of like regular, which is the whole point of Aquarius. It exists outside the box, right? But just to kind of speak on that, the first thing I want to definitely mention is having Neptune and Uranus on your sun make you a Neptune and Uranian vessel power alien. So Uranian power aliens can channel higher frequency beings, form higher conscious communities, connect to the future naturally and easily, lift humanity through television or the internet, invent, innovate, easily access and telepath on the causal plane. And you'll see so much more of this when you read this: Heal Through Astrology, Awaken the Sleeping Masses, Deprogram Brainwashed Individuals. And in Neptune power, you can dance, be mystical, ascend, dance the sacred dance, rather, create world peace through visualization, assist the dying and crossing over, sense the dreams, delusions, addictions of the masses. And especially since this is collective here, this is really your ability to draw from the realm of imagination with Neptune, and then the realm of now the causal realm of the mind with Uranus, you're the ruler of Aquarius. And this connects you to these unseen realms of existence to now, of course, through your mind, either ground in reality or express. But it's just such an advanced level. Aquarius in many ways is outside of time because everything is universal. Everything, the universe is mental. Everything is mental, kind of. So like this is now putting you in a position to, whereas my experience with this Pluto Scorpio, with this Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn, it's going to give me very profound psychic insight based on what people do. So it's like you can take an action, and I'm going to intuitively read the nature of your soul based off of what you do. But in Aquarius, it's so advanced, even without someone doing anything, you already know, because this taps you into this very unconventional sense of knowledge that has you forego inductive and deductive reasoning and literally just know things. So this is even cooler because all of this is attached to the South Node in Aquarius. And so with your North Node in Leo, which is cool, like my North Node's in Aquarius. So like it's our destiny to kind of be different, to kind of be weird, to kind of be progressive and innovative. And your South Node in Aquarius means that you're coming into this lifetime from the ancient future, bridging in this knowledge. And so your Sun, Neptune, Mercury is here. This is like an aspect and essence of your spirit that you brought into this reality so that you can create it. The challenge is to now be creative with it. So like as a South Node Leo, I'm taking my talents of acting, being creative, and I'm finding a very planned, knowledgeable way to teach that in ways that's more logical. But you're taking more this logical basis and you're finding more creative ways to teach that. You're finding more like fun ways to express the knowledge that you have and are. So it's interesting because I'm 27 Taurus rising, you're 25 Sag rising. And so I'm going to be using the equal sign system with the whole sign. So equal sign system will put every house in your chart at 25 degrees. In fact, I also have to put the Pluto instrument alien because it's not next to the AC, but it's in the same sign as the first house. So, as an instrument of Pluto, you also can cause others to see what's occurring on deeper levels, identify enemies. The Plutonian rising, y'all have this very penetrating gaze. It's like you can see through the soul. And in Sagittarius, you're able to really see extremely into the meaning of experiences, but it's deeper because Chiron's attached. So, Chiron attached to the rising, like so, can bring way to being bullied at early age or having certain issues really feeling or sensing confidence in your expression. Of course, at this stage, you're breaking out of it more, but it could be very extremely vulnerable in how you harness this intensity. And I like to think of Sag Pluto rising energy like this as like going Super Saiyan or just being able to like harness that energy and really, monitor your moods like so. But that extreme instrumental quality now makes you an instrument of Hades here, ascended in Sagittarius. So this can really give one a very intimidating countenance, especially if someone's full of crap and just kind of impure. This is something you're going to see and will extremely, even if you're unconscious, you'll extremely kind of, as an instrument of this death force or Hades energy, kind of express. And this is important because at this intensity, now there has to be a certain way people approach you. This is very electric, claircognizant, and automatic, to where the way you process information is so lightning fast. It can come off as psychic ability, but it's just an element of how genius you are, super genius. And so, at this mastery of Sagittarius rising, this makes you the master creator. As a master creator, uh, or creator God or like creator uh collective mirror, because or ascended being, because Sag rising is ascended being. So as an ascended being, as a creator, you have the vibration of the classic celestial, where you understand the social balance and feeling of where in your community a lot of your insights belong. So as a Sag rising, you're in the second, third house. You manifest this very advanced cosmic sense of your attitude and also the knowledge that goes into how you communicate this. But then the moon in Libra will feel where that idea attracts the right people. You can feel with the moon in Libra who's just the right people to be around. this kind of like attracts the right element of artists. This is really good creatively because your moon in your MC makes you receptive to this nature of your legacy, where you're meant to be a social leader as a Sag rising that evokes this wildness and adventurous. You have a very extremely adventurous personality. But my first question for you is, what's it like to have Chiron here? Because in the 12th house, this could also be certain hidden aspects of how you generate this passion that can inhibit how you express yourself, but also heal in yourself and others how much boldly. I kind of want to get a sense of how you experience this.
Like, wait, so like you're asking me like like what does it feel like from for me to experience like the intense energy like that?
Yeah, and not just the intense energy, like because the Chiron on this would make you an instrument of healing. So this could have you like inadvertently trigger a lot of vulnerability in people around you. But now,
So
yeah,
I would say that honestly um it's very much so like I kind of said yesterday like it was like it's intense. I would say that I have a lot of nervous energy. Like a lot of like not per se that like I'm specifically like nervous, but like it just feels like electric in my body. Like it's
right.
like woo, woo, woo. And
Your nervous system processes a lot of like energy, is what you're saying.
yes, like it's like so very much intense and like I shit you not. I've literally had conversations with people because um I definitely look at myself, I guess, as someone that um I definitely want to be like a healer of people. I want to be like someone that I can talk to people and like help them and heal them. But with me, it's usually not necessary. I usually am able to ask people certain questions that make them like have like epiphanies or something,
Right. I love that. I love
or
that.
like I'll like ask like or I'll say certain things. But this is the problem with it is that I can say these things, but sometimes they're not ready for me to ask them,
Exactly.
and it can
Exactly.
make them like get upset or it can like turn them away. But at the same time, I can't really help it. It's kind of
Right.
like happens. So it's like I have to pick and choose. And it's weird because I've literally had like I remember specifically I have a friend named Jordan I had a conversation with, and we were in my car talking, and we're having one of those deep, you know, intimate conversations about things that are going on. And I literally was like asking him a question, and literally like saw and felt like a thing of energy like pop off from me onto him. It was the
Oh,
weirdest shit.
it is.
And he also saw it and was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "I have no idea." So we, you know,
Wow.
it very very weird, very strange. And I realized that it's most of the time just through conversation, I can almost like branch out like the energy I'm feeling and like kind of like pass it on to the
Yeah.
other person. But like I'm not
That's
even sure like how to do it on command or control or anything.
No, that was so I have chills because you just explained what so that third house Aquarius is that energy. It's the cosmic energy. And then the Sagittarius, I think, is your ability to see that, right? But you just confirmed that, your communication is because you exist as a classic cosmic energy. So like you activating this connects you both. And I love how you said you're gonna say what needs to be said because you see at the moment what needs to be healed, and you have this is a part of the alien construct. It's for the vessel, but like specifically it says um shift consciousness of those in denial through stimulating questions. That is
Yes.
right.
Oh my god, that's so true. And like I swear like a lot of times like I'll say things like I said, but like it'll upset people because like they're not ready or wanting to hear it. And then like I ended up being looked at as like I'm being an asshole or
Right.
like or like something along the lines of that. Which then like, you know, would make me doubt myself and be like, damn, was I actually like wrong? Was I an
Right.
asshole? But whole time it's like, you know, most likely I wasn't wrong and most likely it was just a very touchy thing to be
Yeah.
talked.
And I appreciate that because the whole notion of people maybe not being ready for it, that's that extreme intensity with Pluto Chiron. It brings to that surface a lot of these like more metaphysical, philosophical, touchy feely subjects. But I think with the Aquarius, you have a way of like expressing it in a more extraordinary or unique way. And so once again, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that when I was like a bit younger, growing up, um, I was a lot more like I guess like expressively creative with how I like did things. So like, the way like I would sing or dance, I was just like a little bundle of like
Mhm.
but it's like I would get bullied by my friends for like being that.
Oh,
Yeah, so like the people that I
yeah,
thought were my friends, they would like
yes,
basically like, like talk shit about me for like being that way, being like, "Oh, like the way that you're so like expressively like singing and dancing like
yeah.
that shit's gay or like you look weird or whatever." And so like that like put a big damper on that. Which later I realized like no, like I need to like just do that shit because that's me. But
Dude,
like,
I have chills. No, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you just helped me understand what the Chiron is. That
oh,
makes so much sense. Um, Especially because it's just the light. It's so shining. It makes other people feel uncomfortable because it's just like,
yeah.
right? But now get this, Sagittarius is 11th house from Aquarius. So that Chiron identification of like healing, being bullied for like being yourself is you're aware of that as an Aquarius through your friends. So that's why you saw that because like that's so awesome. That's so awesome. So thank you so much. Like now I see how to see that. That's so interesting. So and that wow, okay. So that's really that Chiron lesson. And it's you just kind of like tapping into that extreme creative expression and being yourself. And then, of course, it's interesting because now the North Node in Gemini and your seventh house in Gemini opens that space to really communicate that truth to other people. And I really like that you desire to kind of express this because now the way this will work is you'll also see this in other people and inspire them not to hold back. But please go ahead.
Right, right, and it's about it's funny because, like, those same people, though, that were, like, doing that, they would always come back to me, though, for advice or, like, they would come back to me for help even though they were, like, talking shit.
Right.
So so
Wow.
it's so it's just, like, a little paradox, but, like,
Their ego.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just wanted to put that part in there just because, like, that's just how people were, at least, at that point in time in my life.
That's very revealing. And it's in the 12th house too. So it's 12th house to the AC. So this could also denote like hidden enemies, like kind of seeing how people kind of sense behind you. But a lot of it is just intimidation. A lot of it is reflexively because people are intimidated by how like free you are, how extremely free you are.
Yes, thank you for saying that, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it really puts it a lot into perspective because that's not easy to have. It's a very extreme aspect to have. And so if we look at Venus, Venus, which you have in Capricorn, now having Sagittarius rising as a visionary, as a ascended being, means that you have superpowers. So you having Capricorn gives you super powerful manifestation ability where based on what you decide at this collective level, you can manifest very powerfully what you take action in alignment with integrity. And then Venus in here polishes a lot more beautifully how much efficiently you manifest and how much you're able to attract money and also the goods to polish what you manifest. So it's really good towards manifestation. Like if you were to just set the intention, I'm going to get this money, it's going to come in very powerfully. And it really oh,
So,
please go
like
ahead.
like you said the superpower of it, so it's kinda like because I noticed with me, it's like, I can manifest with
Right.
things, but it's like I easily, like, feel like I get discouraged or, like, I feel kind of blocked for some odd reason, and it can be in the form of either, A, I feel like I don't deserve it for some reason,
Right.
because, like, maybe, like, I'll get something that I feel like it's maybe too good to be true or I don't deserve it, or for some reason, there will be, like, in the midst of me manifesting it, there's, like, all of a sudden, there's, like, a boss battle that I have to, like, figure out, and or,
Right.
like, if I don't and it's like maybe like the manifesting is like beyond the boss battle or I don't know, but a lot of times with the manifesting it's like I feel it like I can manifest like things but like how to do it though, I feel kind of confused or I feel kind of stuck in a lot of ways on like how I'm supposed to like receive it,
Receive,
really.
right, yeah. No, I love that you said that. That's very revealing because it's almost as if like you can have it, but then you can psych yourself out on like you said, if you deserve it, or just like blockages that kind of arise. And to me, that kind of seems more of an attack, almost like to undermine. And that's the huge lesson of the second house in dealing with the eighth house, because you're so powerful. The dark forces have to now convince you to that you're not as valuable so that you feel less valuable, and that's like an attack on your heart and your Venus, because you're very resolute in how powerful you manifest with the heart. And uh if we look now, the ruler of your second house is in Taurus, and that squares your sun. So having a second house Capricorn with Pluto transiting it is awakening this value, and it could be very difficult because it will feel like a boss battle. It's going to really, Pluto going through here and just the Saturn ruled second house could be so, you could just be so hard on yourself, as far as like so incredibly difficult on your worth, that you want to make sure it's not really you as much as it's the Saturnian social expectation around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that resonates a lot.
It's cool because it's also super, when you overcome this, it's just a seriously powerful acceptance of your value, where you decide that you're worth it. And that's going to really be the how. It's just
Okay.
like overcoming that, because a lot of the resistance you feel is actually other people's resistance towards you, that you're processing as your own self, because you're in one body. But it's kind of just like the decision, because a lot of this is outside influences and forces that indirectly subconsciously influence you to feel that, because you personally in spirit know you're worthy, right? And so this is more so overcompensating for, or this is more so compensating for that resistance against you. And that's really where I feel like a lot of that, the ruler of your second house in Taurus squares your aqua sun. So now your awareness of your value is going to clash with your extraordinary attitude, this unconventional attitude, and how it influences your behavior. And I think that's going to really influence, like, the way you think unconventionally can sometimes be more advanced than how you ground it. And that's what's going to make it hard to manifest too, because it kind of may set up this false dilemma that it has to make sense, or it has to be a certain way.
Yeah, I would say that I definitely have a tendency to like imagine something that, in my mind's like, oh, this is perfect. But then like putting it to actual like you said, like practical like ways of doing it, it's like, oh shit, I didn't actually think this through completely. Like it's not gonna work this way like I thought it was. It's gonna take actually more time and more of this and more of that
Right,
versus me just being like, no, it's just gonna work, or
right,
I'm just like expecting it to happen a certain way.
exactly. And that's important. I think you very accurately described the square, because a lot of the way you formulate these ideas is sheer genius. It's very brilliant. Like, if we now look at your third house, the third house is a house of skills and abilities. And so Uranus in the third usually denotes a child prodigy, one that, because this is in the third in the south node here, you're a part of your destiny, bridging this knowledge from the ancient future, is to innovate the process of learning, whether through technology or whether through even you personally. Like, this would denote that the way you learn, especially in school, is quite quickly. Like, you kind of just gain an instinctual knowledge of things, and it could kind of bring challenges, especially if maybe you didn't have the best grades. This would denote that maybe you were able to pass the grades really easily, but if not, it's really more so of just because like a boredom, or just you just saw through the school system, so there was really no motive. What I'm saying?
I would say that like I definitely was more concerned with like having fun than like I was with like learning shit. And I
Yeah,
feel like I definitely struggled growing up with like certain subjects it's funny because it was specifically math for me. For some reason, I had a very hard time, but it wasn't that I was bad at math. It was that, like, the way that I did it wasn't the way that they wanted me to do it. So it's like,
Exactly.
right. And like, it wasn't that I was stupid or I couldn't understand it. I'm sitting here trying to explain to them, like, no, I'm not stupid. Like, you're stupid because you're not sitting here understanding that I do get it, but you're not like letting me do.
It's so outside the tradition of what you're supposed to do. That's so beautiful. I love that. That's Uranus in the third, especially in Aquarius. And like, I'm so glad you said that because the way you think is quintessentially outside the box. It's like you're an alien learning what these humans are teaching you. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, you have to do it the human way. And you're like, bitch, how? Like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So much more advanced. So that's that was very reassuring. That was very confirming.
And also growing up, I um I would say that like I was very like I very much liked sports and I was very like into playing sports. I played baseball. I was very very good at baseball. And I will say that throughout my life I've had these weird little random tragedies that have happened that
Mm,
like have kind of like where I thought I was going to do something, something would happen and then like it would completely redirect my course to something different. And
okay.
that's happened probably like a handful of like 3 or 4 times throughout my life with different things.
Wow.
So I don't know if like that has
It's like
anything.
redirects your route, right?
Yeah, like
Interesting.
for example, like I had like in 7th grade, I was playing baseball and stuff, thought I was gonna play baseball, and then I had like a tumor. And like it wasn't cancerous or anything, but it was a very terrible time. That redirected me again. And then like, and then I had like, I like blew my knee out, which then redirected me to something different again. And then I had like this very long period, my whole high school career, I had terrible acne, like absolutely
Oh wow.
terrible,
Right.
like absolutely terrible. And like that completely like diminished my like self-worth and like confidence in myself and everything. And I completely was like, didn't really have like any friends or anything. And it was a very lonely, weird time. Like, and I don't know, all of these little weird things that have happened have just kind of redirected me to like me being where I'm at now, where it's like I'm like confident that like I want to help people.
Right.
Like that's what I wanted. That's what I think and feel like I want to do.
Right.
And I think that a little bit of like we were saying with the manifesting, like I sometimes doubt or have trust issues, like not with people or me, but like with life.
Mm.
Like,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Like how like how things can just kind of twist and like
yeah. The
trust
fact that
people.
like I'm literally not in control at all.
Right. That's
Like
deep.
I literally like I am like if the universe decides that like it's not gonna happen, that shit ain't gonna happen. Like,
Right.
yeah,
I feel you. And I think the unpredictable element too is Uranus on the South Node. So that's where just like randomly it can just and that's what I learned about Uranus. It really just come out of nowhere. And I think the square to Saturn will frustrate whenever what you're doing is out of integrity or in line with your karmic path, which is not easy. That square isn't easy. I'd like that you said that because the Aquarius is going to be the genius ideas. It's going to be that this is what we can make happen like instantly. And then the Saturn square to Taurus is because Saturn and Taurus is like Seven of Pentacles, long term investments, delays. And so that's what's going to be like, oh, okay, there's so much more required to put this all together. And
yes,
you can definitely have both, though. You can bridge that genius, but it's like in integrating it, it will last. So it's just kind of, it's teaching you to take your time with the process instead of just like, um, I wouldn't even say rush, but instead of just like kind of because you'll know what you want it to be, but then there's and that's his air signs, just kind of remembering that we're in an earth dimension. I'll be forgetting all the time, and I'm like,
yeah,
right, but it's just like, damn,
yeah. I would say that it's definitely like I have to be like more definitely like more practical. Like I have to like for example, it's like I am gonna start going into community college like in the next couple of weeks. to like put my foot in the door towards what I'm trying to do. But like the thing is like I didn't want to do that though. Like and like to be honest, I don't even know if that's necessarily what I'm supposed to do, but like I needed something practical in the right direction, hopefully maybe to like meet more people that are on the same path as me, something on the lines of that because beforehand I'm like, oh, like I'm just gonna like, I'm just gonna like go out and become some crazy spiritual mentor person that's like doing crazy shit, but it's like nah, like it doesn't work like that. And like I don't know, I had that realization probably like last year, and that's when I decided like, all right, I'm gonna have to get a job like a normal person. I'm gonna have to like save up my money and pay for shit like a normal person. I'm gonna have to like, do that
Cool.
instead of just like thinking that I can just move out, no money, no plan, no nothing, and just have it work out like it's a movie.
Right.
Like that's not.
Right.
Yeah.
And not to like your manifestation power is powerful enough to wing it like that, but that's the sixth house structure in Saturn. That's like it's going to allow you to do both. So you have that kind of like backing and then you move forward. So it's cool because the North Node in Taurus is going to establish this lifestyle for you. It's going to stabilize over the next couple of years. Whether through a job or self-employment, you like stable income, stable routines.
I
And
definitely want to have like self-employment. Like I definitely want to be like my own boss. Like I definitely want to have my own thing that I do.
right. And that's definitely in the works. A lot of that is tied to your Libra MC. And so a lot of success for you is going to be in feeling the collectives you can subscribe to and subscribe to you. Because your Libra moon will feel out the artists who you can connect with. And, establishing that community will open the pipeline for you to really develop that.
Okay.
And
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You straight.
I was gonna say, like, so what exactly, like, um, based off of like what first of all, I don't really even know if like you can even answer this question, so I'm like asking it with no expectations. But um, how like what based off of what my chart says, what does it look like my purpose is, or like what I'm like because I know that you just said with my Libra and the MC, it's like I'm supposed to basically connect with people that are like minded in an artistic way. Like, so is that kind of like what it is? Is like I need to like basically like be like Avengers or something, and like gather like a bunch of people that like are like minded that want to like make like an impact or.
It's I kind of see the vision of like a YouTube channel because like you're broadcasting your message and then the moon in Libra will attract all the right people who
Okay.
you're meant to connect with. So example, I know a Libra sun who has Sag rising and her MC is in Libra in the 11th. So because her sun is there, she's more aware of that. And she's a DJ. She's a Mercy at Universe. She's a DJ. She like performs in front of like hundreds of people, and like that's that legacy. You know what I'm saying? It's like connecting with the like cool people, the social people, and being that Sag rising and sharing your creative self. And so the North Node in Leo is your destiny is to shine this inspiration whatever you because you're pretty much people are going to look at you and they're going to see, oh, this is the way of life that allows me to live the path of my heart. And you're using the resource of all this knowledge because the trap here with the South Node Aqua is to be so stuck on what you know and to be so stuck on how you communicate it. You want to find ways to creatively express that in connection with the MC and Libra. It really does look like a lot of this purpose for you is social. It's dynamic. Your destiny is social. Your legacy is social, and you're going to be known and seen for someone who connects all the right people and opens that space for people to kind of like perform and be creative. And however much time it takes to establish this in your coming to your Saturn return, it looks like everything's going to align very perfectly for you, but that's really where everything's headed.
Okay. So it
Yeah.
basically gonna take time and then just I guess trusting in myself, believing that it's gonna happen and work out. So like
Uh-oh.
are you still there?
There we go. I can
Okay.
hear.
So like another question I had was regarding like I know like a lot of your moon messages like you talk about like the superpowers like so I'm curious like I know you mentioned a little bit of like what mine were with the manifesting. Could you like kind of maybe explain that a little more for me on what mine are, what you see?
Right. Okay, so the with the superpowers, right? And the
Yeah.
manifestation. Yeah. So Venus in the second house. So I spoke to somebody who's super awesome recently, and he's also Pluto, Chiron, rising in Sag, as also Saturn and Taurus, because y'all are builders of the new earth, right? But you're also creators. And so what was really awesome about him or amazing about him was he told me that the reason why he got this reading was he saw the Venus in retrograde hack, and he was able to just manifest it. He like took the advice. He's like, you know what? I want $100 for this, and it came. And that's how powerful y'all are as manifestors. It's like you visualize it, and now you actually have Venus in Capricorn, whereas I don't think he had anything in his second. So Venus adds more balance and polishing to your ability to give and receive this. Where with Venus, who rules your sixth, you're able to integrate a lot of your behavior by just kind of like materializing a lot of your intent. And that's what's going to bring up a lot of the resistance that through Pluto you'll break through, and you'll find that it's more seamless. So a huge major power you have is this incredible manifestation at the collective level. Because like second house Taurus is individual possessions, but second house Capricorn is this very powerful collective action that brings everything together to manifest. And I feel like as a Sag rising, it's literally like materialization from thin air, like really crystallizing and materializing. So that's a huge element of it. And then your abilities in Aquarius, cosmic telepathy, Neptune and Uranus is supernatural here. So as Pluto post 2023 goes through, you're going to be awakening the next level of this. It's the way you want to see it. Like everything you've kind of harnessed is still barely anything. Like you're about to step into the super, and this is at a level that we haven't even reached. So it's something to look forward to. And then you're going to have Pluto going through that. And then you're going to have Saturn return, where your strength is going to return. So a lot of the cosmic telepathic abilities gives you a very quantum abstract sense of now a very weird relationship with time through deja vus, and you being able to precognitively perceive things before they even happen, but sense them as if it's real time, which could be a bit confusing because you're tapping in. This is an element of your spirit that's outside of this current reality, but still in this current reality. So this is going to awaken more the knowledge of that. And just to kind of sit with that third house abilities, this is also a lot of how you innovate and think outside the box. Uranus is always going to have you think more so in an unconventional way about things. And then Neptune is going to align your brain's ability to process this very intuitively. This is what's going to have you intuitively know just what to ask someone to really stimulate them out of denial, to really trigger a lot of how, what they're ready for and not ready for. And this is also where you have Mars in Pisces. So Mars in Pisces, what's really cool with this is it's not, I have Mars in Aries. So like I'm going to feel instinctually desire to do something. And before I have the ability to think about it and be like, hey, you shouldn't do, I already did it. Whereas Mars in Pisces is so imaginative. Mars doesn't like to be in Pisces because Mars likes to just act off on what it does. But what this is perfect for, especially attached to the fourth house, is you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in your desire. But Mars in Pisces is the quintessential feel it as if it's already happened. So whereas you're going to feel that desire to do something, this has a superpower, extends on the Venus in Capricorn, and you imagining what you desire to do as if it's happening activates Mars in Pisces very magically. and this will facilitate this is why it's so hard to understand, because it's supernatural. And it's hard to explain how like reality starts to warp around you just by holding that intent. Whereas Mars and Aries, I'm going to see that cheeseburger and then I'm going to go for it. Mars and Pisces, you're going to want to go for the cheeseburger, but you're going to feel yourself eating it. And then the cheeseburger comes to you. Someone just picks it up and be like,
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, that just clicked for me. Okay, thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay.
right. But that's why it's difficult to have, because as a man, we're taught you need to go out and get it. You're not supposed to wait for
Right.
it to come to you, right? But actually, you have to honor that feminine nature of Mars, and it adds so much more of a magical understanding to it. You know what I mean? So just in case, because this will make sense as to why maybe when you do go and get it, things block, things kind of like come out the way, because that's kind of like that process.
Right. Right. So in a way, it's like I actually need to like not rush it and more like I need to go through my more like visual feeling of it first before. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
you want to just embrace feeling it as if you already have it.
Okay.
Because, yeah, this is now a quantum nature of action. It's supernatural, which is why it's strange. And so it's incorporating the unseen. That's why it's difficult, because you're taking action off of a belief in something that you may not see happen, but will happen the moment you're thinking it. Because this is where now you're so strong as an aqua sun, you stimulate this kind of near instantly.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. So can you talk to me a little bit about my Jupiter and Aries?
Yeah. So Jupiter in Aries is important because that in the fifth house supercharges a lot of the first five houses. We take that creativity in Sag, the value, because you can take your value seriously in Capricorn. It really manifests very beautifully and practically. I feel like Venus, if you just had the second house Capricorn, you can like manifest like a guitar. But Venus here, it's a beautiful guitar. It's like
Okay.
very valuable, right? You know how to add that value. And then of course the Aquarius is the genius knowledge and how to very unconventionally express that message and your skills. And then Mars is very special divine quality of how to, in a roundabout way, go to action. So Jupiter in Aries in the fifth makes you super creative. This is this evolution of how dynamically, this is also kind of when you said before of how you got really expressive and really creative, because Jupiter will now expand how much more creative your inner child is, how much more powerfully you play with the inner children of other people and really push yourself to express your talents. This sextiles your Aquarius. So a lot of the intellect and the knowledge of Aquarius, you can dynamically express creatively. So it raises the vibe of anything you're a part of. It means you're very talented. You're very creatively talented. And in Aries, it's dynamic. So you can just go with the flow and wing it and then develop it there. But that's kind of a way to see it, because it's 27 degrees mastered. It can kind of push very far, and sometimes it can be too much for people because it's just so dynamic. But really, it's a powerful aspect of how talented you are creatively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And then to jump back into what you were saying earlier, so with the whole quantum manifesting thing, so it's not necessarily that like I'm actually channeling like other like souls or like spirits in the unseen realm. Is it more like I'm kind of like since that time in itself is not linear or whatever, it's more like I can almost like take my future self and bring what I got in the future to me now more than
Yeah,
it. Okay.
that's genius.
Okay.
And that's a practice, because like what's going to happen when this awakens and opens up, you're directly connected to the future. So you'll be able to see visions more clearer. I feel like now that your body is still awakening to harness a lot of this, power at this end takes more closer to 30s, late 20s, 30s, mid 30s, because you're getting ready to step into so much of an extraordinary utilization of this. Saturn going through Aquarius is literally teaching you how to use this
Right.
in ways that are now practical and less abstract.
Right.
and you're manifesting a lot of that control. So by the time Pluto post 2024 really begins in here and starts to awaken Neptune, it's gonna really like extremely make more clear that sense of yourself in the future that you can draw back here. And that's a part of your destiny. Your destiny is to really go to the future, draw that knowledge, and find ways to creatively teach that expressively to people. And so the expansion in your fifth house, which is cool, you have the expansion of your inner child in the fifth and your creativity, and then the Saturn wants to structure it. So that's why you can get really excited, but then Saturn's like, how can we make this practical? How can we actually sustain this?
Okay.
And that, right.
So it's like it's a lot of like back and forth, but
Yeah.
it works though. It works though.
Dun, 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 dun,
Right, right,
dun,
right.
which is lit.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. That makes me very happy. Because I don't know, I just feel like I've definitely a lot of times I feel like I have like a direction, but then like amidst the direction I get lost so easily. Like so easily. Like I get like just lost off of like where I think I'm supposed to be going because like I'll have the idea, it's like boom, and then like you said, it's kind of like nope, got to come back down and then like reassess. And yeah, that just makes so much sense. It's just good to like get reassurance on it.
Yeah. No, it's
Um,
definitely very revealing.
um, so like I have like Aquarius. What it's in my second house, right? Or
Right, good question. So because you're a master Sag rising, the Aquarius energy falls in your second, but it rules the third. So second house is manifestation, third house is attitude. You're manifesting the knowledge of your attitude. And
okay,
yeah.
because I noticed that like I have 4 planets I think
Yeah.
in it, which was like I don't know like yeah. So that's where it's gonna be like the unconventional ways of like making money, right?
Yep. Hmm.
Okay, because
In
like
ways that haven't been done before too.
right,
Right.
because in my mind it's like for example, right? I like to do tarot readings. That's like one of the things I've been doing as of late is doing tarot readings. And I'm trying to like find different ways to like implement these like unorthodox ways of like making money and also because like it's like I know I have to like be more practical, but at the same time it's like I also still want to like find the means to do things I like to do that aren't necessarily like what society deems as being like a normal job or whatever, right?
Exactly.
So, like, I know that number one, like, I do want to help people. I know that I want to do it in a more creative way. It's like I want to like I feel like with me, it's like when talking with people, asking certain questions or whatever, like it kind of says, like stimulates their brain and it helps them like get past a block that they have mentally. So it's like I know that with what I want to do, it's like it's surrounding these things. I can't pinpoint it on what it is exactly, but I've had like visions or like kind of like imaginative like things where I've thought like instead of like for say me sitting in a chair in an office space with another person and asking them like how do you feel, it's like I'd rather like go on like a high like going like on a walk in nature and then like I don't know, like this sounds kind of crazy, but like go on a walk in nature and then like give them like a small like micro dose of like psilocybin or something to like open their brain and like help them, like I don't know, I just want to be able to like be like very
Dynamic.
like different with how it works.
Yeah. You're innovating it. And I love that this is your destiny. You're even destined to innovate how people make money. And that's the challenge with Saturn in the sixth. It's like that those ideas, your Saturn is finding ways to practice, 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 practice and make real. And that's what you're going to establish. It's going to take a while coming into your Saturn return, but it will click. And the reason why it's hard now is you're ahead of your time. So you're trying to bridge things that the certain things haven't been invented yet to facilitate that.
Right,
So,
right.
right. So you're on the right track though.
Okay, awesome. That's great to hear. So when is my Saturn return, and what is that exactly?
Great question. Great question. So your Saturn return is gonna be 2030.
2030? Okay.
2029, 2030.
And
Yeah.
what exactly is a Saturn return? What does that symbolize? What does that mean?
Great question. So the best way I've come to I've come to really embrace it. Saturn returns is when you become an adult, really. So basically, if you think that you came from the ancient future and you bridge so much of your past life skills and abilities, when you were born, you were in a baby vessel. And so you decompressed or you compressed all of your abilities and skills in your vessel. But as a baby, you're too young to harness all these abilities. And so you grow and decompress as you build your body to download all these innate skills and memories. The Saturn return coming into 2930 returns your strength. It's like an anime trope where like somebody resurrects and it's like, oh, I still need to return my full power. The Saturn return is where your full power is returned. And now you're establishing the karmic lessons for the next 30 years. Now that you've fully come back into adulthood, now that you've learned the lessons of blocks that get you there, it's a very completion. It's a time of completion that steps you into success.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so basically like the first 30 years is like going through the trial and error of like these powers or gifts and not understanding them and having a hard time, but then like that Saturn return is kind of like it's full completion. Now I can actually set off on like
Yes.
the hero's arc journey. Like
It's literally it. Cause like I rushed it too. Like I was so that's really was my 20s. Like I had an idea of what I was supposed to be doing and what I wanted to do. And a lot of that set up where I am. But it wasn't until the Saturn return that I was more clear than ever on what I meant to do and the ability to do it.
yeah, so that's actually something I wanted to ask is like when so like did you go to school? Did you go to school and
And like I dropped out a lot too because I didn't want to go to school. I felt like I had to.
right.
And North Node in the ninth house, like we both have, links higher education to our destiny. It's not necessary, but it is going to be tied into that. I feel like you and I, we don't need college, but it will help to network.
Right, okay. And
Yeah.
then once you've, like, graduated, did you, like, use what you gained from there and implement it into what you do now?
That's the best part. Like I don't need my degree for a job, right? Now, the stuff that I learned in college has helped. Like it all tied together, but I learned that, you know, like I was told I needed the degree. I actually really didn't. Like doing what I do, if I didn't get a degree, I'd still be good. The
Right,
degree helps, right? But that's really what kind of I gained from that.
okay.
And yeah, and the thing is, like, once again, there was just this obsession with having to, like, if I knew beforehand, I would have just chilled. If I knew that it would come clear Saturn return, I wouldn't feel so worried about what to do. Like, I would just let everything unfold and whatnot.
Right, and that makes perfect sense. I feel like with me, it's more of a, I have like this thing where it's like, cause there's this person that's been in my life. They're a Capricorn. They're an older man. He's been like my neighbor for a long time, and he's kind of always been there to like keep it real with me. Now I will say, a lot of times we kind of butt heads. I don't really agree with him,
Yeah.
but I will say that like I kind of feel like I realized that in a way for people in society to kind of like recognize what I can do, I feel like I have to have some type of like matrix like certification so that I can show like yes, I might sound a little crazy, but I went and did this too. So it's like I know what I'm talking about. It's not like
I
I'm
feel
just
you.
spitting bullshit.
That's what me having my degree feels like too. it's just like that added credibility. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yes.
It's like, you don't need it, but in terms of the world, it does help as far as like
Right.
building. So I feel you on that, right?
Okay. Yeah. So when you were first like when you so what did you get your degree in exactly?
I was studying engineering, but I graduated in communications.
Okay, nice. So like when you were said and done and graduated, how long did it take for you to like kind of like start stepping into like what you do now?
Oh, good question. So that's another reason why it was interesting. By the time I graduated, I already started doing what I did. So like,
Oh, that's awesome.
and it's interesting, the year that I broke through doing what I do, I dropped out of college. And I ended up going back to college later after I made this work and then got my degree. So I proved to myself, oh wow, I didn't really need the degree. Like I only graduated because my mom wanted me to. I'm gonna be really honest. She was very adamant, and she was paying for tuition. So I was like, screw it, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
dude. That's awesome. You're really like an inspiration. That's so cool. Like that's
appreciate
awesome. And then I know we don't have like too much time left. We literally have like 3 minutes left before it's 3 o'clock. But I had one more question.
no
I
worries.
basically asked all the things that I wanted to know. But I'm so like my girlfriend yesterday. She has 3 planets in her eighth house. So it's her Saturn's in Gemini, her Jupiter is in Cancer, and then her Venus is Cancer, and that's all in the eighth house. And the eighth house, it's like rebirth, right? Like sex, stuff like that, Kundalini or something. I'm just kind of interested, like, what can you like tell me about that?
So eighth house is intimacy, and Saturn in the eighth is karmic limitations and lessons of drawing boundaries. Saturn Gemini especially is very serious about, communication and the truth. They hate liars. So it's going to bring trust issues around making sure, she's more exceptionally serious about who she can trust as a Scorpio rising. And the Cancer in the eighth house to ninth brings more of a clarity of the deeper feelings that guide her philosophy. So
Okay.
a lot of the eighth house energy is just going to be more karmic lessons and difficulty. Because, like, if it was Jupiter only or Venus, then there would be more of a desire and love to connect intimately. But Saturn here is going to be trust issues in dealing with people because, especially if they're liars, you know what I mean, or just like
Hmm.
a waste of time. So Saturn is just going to be like more so of the, not a Debbie Downer, but like, hey, if someone else is going to be cool about that's kind of the view I get. It's like someone walking into a room and it's like, hey, I need you all to sign your name on the paper. I know, this is kind of inconvenient, but we just have to, and it's just having the value to, because there's a certain way it can sound where it's like, oh, this isn't cool, like, but it's like making sure everything is covered and
Right.
not right. So eighth house is going to be intimacy, and it's also going to be other people's resources. So she'd have the ability to discern truth from other people, and they won't know that like they spilled the beans and dished the tea to her.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And then I know I said last question, but
All good.
so just like yeah, sorry. So yeah. So yeah, I do have this like envision of like me like doing practical ways of building myself as we've just discussed, and then kind of like integrating my own way into like doing like the more unorthodox ways. But like I did hear you say I have literally like started like 3 different YouTube channels, but I've always deleted them like every single time
Oh, okay.
because like of like insecurity or like just me like
Right.
thinking that's not good enough or whatever.
Right.
And like I don't know. So like did was appreciative like that you brought that up because like I do really feel like I want to do that and I do feel like I have things to say that could
Mm.
help people, but I've always just been like um I don't know, just not really like able to really fully delve into it. But the thing that I'm thinking now is like would it be like a bad idea to even like start it like considering that like until like my Saturn return comes,
Exactly, right.
like
That's the best thing you can do, and I always advise people to do YouTube because it takes like a good year 3 to grind. In your
right,
case, it would probably take a year and a half. And once you kind of get over that hump and you come in that consistency, the money does start rolling in. Like it pays really well once you have that consistency and build that following. And so it's perfect to start now before you even know what you're doing, because then you'll be able to just adapt and tweak as you go. And then during this journey, you'll find more yourself and how you express. So, yeah, I would just leap in without even having to know. And you're Aquarius, you do know, right? But like, yeah, this is the perfect time to start building and, take your time with it. You don't have to worry about engagement as much as you just want to be consistent and just put
right.
out. Yeah.
Just putting out,
And
okay,
have fun
'cause,
with
like,
it.
right, have fun with it. Because I always like think of it as like I don't even really know what I would post other than just talking about the random ideas that I have, or just like I guess just random shit that I'm doing. I guess that's good enough. Yeah. So I
And
just
that,
wanted to,
that, that could be great to start because it'll evolve with you. So that'll be a great to start with.
right,
And you'd be surprised who like is touched by those insights and who it helps. So.
right.
Well, I'm gonna send you this recording right now. This is super awesome.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it.
no problem.